Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse of Provincetown, where we affirm the inherent worthiness and dignity of every person, and where we support each other on our spiritual search for truth and meaning. My name is Reverend Kate Wilkinson, and I am so glad that you have joined us this morning. Welcome to those of you in the room, and welcome also to those of you joining us via our live stream. I want to give an extra warm welcome to one of my very best friends, Liz, and her family. Welcome, Liz and Jason and Oliver and Zachary, here all the way from Portland, Oregon, where Liz is a Presbyterian minister. You know, it kind of stinks when you're a minister, that you don't get to go to church and listen to sermons because you are busy preaching them. So what I do is I watch Liz's sermons later in the week, and that is what feeds my soul. So thank you, Liz. And Jason, happy Father's Day. Are there any other fathers in the room today? Could you please stand so we can honor you? Thank you, dads. Today is also Flower Communion Sunday, which means that we'll be creating a beautiful communal bouquet a little later in today's service. It's a tradition that reaches all the way back to 1923 and Reverend Norbert Čapek's Unitarian congregation in Czechoslovakia. It was brought to the United States by Norbert's wife, Maya Čapek, in 1940, and we have been celebrating Flower Sundays in America ever since. Some of you, like Liz's family, may be visiting for the first time today or didn't know about today's flower communion. If you did not bring a flower today, do not despair. Others have brought extra flowers, and they are in a vase in the hall outside the sanctuary. Please feel free to grab one and keep it at your seat with you until the ritual. We invite everyone to partake in the ceremony. But before we continue with our flower communion service today, we have just a few announcements to share. I hope you all saw the wonderful photos and articles in this week's Provincetown Independent about the Harvard concert that we hosted when their trip to Denmark was canceled. That was because of fears for the international students in the group, and there was a really nice recap of the event in the paper. So again, thank you to all of you who packed the house for that amazing concert. And speaking of the Independent newspaper, we'll be hosting their annual meeting this afternoon. So if anyone can help clear up the sanctuary after the service, including bringing all these vases downstairs after the flower communion, that would be a big help. This Thursday, June 19th, we'll be hosting the town-wide Juneteenth celebration out on our lawn from 2 to 5 o'clock. This holiday celebrates the end of slavery and the day that slaves in Galveston, Texas were finally told that they were free more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. This year's theme is Power, Joy, and Resilience. There will be speakers, a picnic, and performances, including some fabulous drag performances, and it's going to be an amazing time. So please come to this 5th annual Provincetown Juneteenth event. There is a suggested donation of $20, but no one will be turned away for lack of funds. And many of you are volunteering for the event, so thank you in advance. We had a wonderful training last week for our Juneteenth safety team. They'll be the ones in bright yellow vests, so thank you, safety team. A reminder to our lovely choir that there's no choir next Sunday. We will be having some guest musicians for our Juneteenth service. Choir resumes on the 29th, and everyone is always invited to sing in the choir, by the way. Let Heather know if you'd like to be on the email list where she sends out sheet music and recordings of the parts. Rehearsals are at 9:45 on Sundays. Today, after the service, we hope you'll stop by our UUMH action table. Each week during coffee hour, we are offering an action that you can take to support our Unitarian Universalist values in the world. This might be by writing a thank you note or signing a petition, making a donation, or calling a senator. Just one thing we can do a week to make us feel less hopeless and more powerful. This week's action I dedicate to my own dad in honor of Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Dad. One of his favorite charities is World Central Kitchen. Last year, World Central Kitchen provided over 109 million meals to families affected by conflict, natural disasters, and the climate crisis. They responded this year to the LA wildfires. They've been feeding people in Ukraine since the outbreak of the war, and are working in dozens of other locations around the world. Until recently, World Central Kitchen was providing meals in Gaza, but they are no longer able to get supplies into the area, and they have stopped cooking meals there while their trucks wait at the border. But they are still supporting families by distributing critically needed drinking water. Information is available at the action table about how to donate to this really important organization, or you can find out more at wck.org. That's for World Central Kitchen. Finally, if you are here in person today, we hope that you will join us downstairs after the service ends for coffee and conversation. Let's take a moment now to affirm our Meetinghouse covenant. You can find this printed on the purple laminated cards in your pews, but I'm actually going to say it line by line, so you can also just say it back to me. Love is the spirit of this Meetinghouse.
Love is the spirit of this Meetinghouse.
This is our great covenant.
This is our great covenant.
To dwell together in peace.
To dwell together in peace.
To seek the truth in love.
To seek the truth in love.
And to help one another. Now, as we light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you who are watching from home to light a candle wherever you are. In that way, we can feel connected even while we are apart. This morning, I invite our worship host, Ellen, and Dawn to light our chalice for us.
Our chalice lighting words this morning are by Kimberly Ann Tomczyk Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You've been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there's a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship.
Thank you. So yesterday, my mother was part of a group of people who went to sing to Carolyn McDade for her 90th birthday. Carolyn is the author of the hymn that we sing each week after our prayer, Spirit of Life, a fabulously talented musician, feminist, and community builder. And she is living in a nursing home now and is still singing. So in honor of her 90th birthday, which is coming up on Thursday, I've chosen all Carolyn McDade hymns for today. So I invite you to join me now in singing our opening hymn, number 1068, Rising Green. This is 1068 in the teal-colored hymnals. You'll recognize this one because we did it 2 weeks ago. Please rise as you are able for Rising Green, 1068. You may be seated. I invite you to join us now in a time of meditation and prayer. During this time or at any time during the service, you are welcome to light a silent candle at the table to the right of the pulpit, where there is a journal to record your thoughts and prayers. After the prayer, we will sing together Spirit of Life, another Carolyn McDade. That's hymn number 123 in your gray hymnals. You can also find the words to this song printed on those same purple laminated cards in your pews. We'll sing it first in English and then in Spanish. Spirit of life, in this time of deep political division, may we feel the threads that connect us to one another. May we know that we are tied up in one garment of destiny, and that how we treat each other matters. We grieve for the politicians and their families who were victims of violence in Minnesota this week. We watch the missiles arc across the sky on the evening news. Our hearts break for the immigrants in our community who are living in fear. And we despair at the homophobic comments being made on the photos posted of the first ever Pride Parade in Orleans on Saturday. And yet, wearing our cloak of sadness, we reach into our pockets of joy. We celebrate that so many people came out this weekend to march, to chant, to defend democracy. We see not apathy, but hopeful resistance. we feel not the divisions, but the strength and care of community. We witness kindness. We receive kindness. We offer kindness. We lift up all the goodness in this world. And though our human nature has both goodness and selfishness inside of it, we feed and strengthen the side of generosity, of care, of gratitude. May this hour together refill our well. And when we leave here, may we be part of the stitching back together of this world. Amen.
Our reading this morning, entitled Too Many to Count, is by Allison Luderman. My father hands me the bucket and scissors and asks me to go cut peonies. White, pink, magenta. Tightly balled, slightly unfurled, they've multiplied like crazy on the slope behind his house. Long ago, Dad taught himself to garden out of books. My childhood was fat with exalted over tomatoes, blueberry bushes covered with cheesecloth, and a zillion profligate zucchinis, which caused an outbreak of zucchini bread, zucchini muffins, zucchini ill-fated zucchini pizza crust, inciting both my brothers to go on a zucchini strike. But these peonies, God must have been a little stoned when she dreamed them up. No stopping at one petticoat or two, but piling layer upon layer until even the exhausted bees surrender to exclusive, excessive lingerie. I stuff the bucket with closed buds and half-opened blooms, showing their lacy knickers, and trudge them back up the steep-sloped hill to the house, leaving behind a glowing field of peonies too many to count, like my father's many kindnesses over the decades: pots of soup, loaves of bread, hours of earnest listening, all offered with the same voluptuous generosity. As now, when he takes the laden bucket from my arms and tells me to divide the bounty into smaller bunches so he can distribute them among the neighbors.
Now is the time when we take a collection for the ongoing support of this Meetinghouse and our shared ministry. You know, this is our music director, Heather's very first flower communion with us. So I was explaining the ritual to her, and I said it celebrates the beauty of everyone being their full self in the world. And could she find a song along that theme? So here is a song you might have heard Kebmo sing, "Everybody Be Yourself." As we enjoy a musical reflection by our choir, we welcome your donations here in the sanctuary or online through PayPal or Venmo. You can find that information on our website, uumh.org. At this point, I invite 3 or 4 volunteer ushers forward, including Augie, to take up our collection. On and off-site, your offerings will now be gratefully received.
Go downtown, show your face around. You got nothing that you wanna hide. You wanna make a friend just again and again. You wanna wake up feeling satisfied. If you take it to heart, you make it from the start. You'll never have to wonder why. 'Cause life is right when you look at it right. And that's something that you can't deny. Everybody's gotta live. Everybody's gotta die. Everybody's got a right to feel good inside. Everybody's got a high. Everybody's got a low. Everybody's gotta be yourself, no matter where you go. If you trust yourself, but nobody else, tell
Every year, in the gray, cold season of late February, early March, I plant tomato seeds. It feels like such a hopeful act to believe that though the days are short and dreary and depressing now, there will come a time when they will be long and sunny and warm enough to ripen a tomato. Every year it feels impossible, and every year a miracle occurs. Now, my spring and summer and fall self always remind me, Kate, don't plant too many tomatoes. Just pick 2 or 3 kinds and plant 1 or 2 of each. But my winter self isn't a very good listener. And she is the one who receives the seed catalogs. And let me just say that in January, full color photos of hundreds of varieties of tomatoes with exotic names like black pineapple, green zebra, purple crim, and pink fang. These are absolutely irresistible. And so every year I order too many seeds, and every year when I go to plant 1 or 2 of each seed, I think, well, what if they don't come up? So instead I plant 4 or 5 of each kind, and by the time they've come up and grown and been divided and potted up and placed in windows throughout the house, our condo becomes a tomato jungle. And this lasts through the whole spring until I plant them out. But inevitably, there are too many to fit in the garden, and some get left behind. Now neglected and living on the porch, they get leggier and leggier until finally I take pity on them and bring them to church for flower communion to be part of the display. And so if 7 of you are in the market for a very fragile and leggy tomato plant that barely made it here intact, you are welcome to take one home at the end of the service. And you can carry it home like the author Ross Gay in his piece called Tomato on Board. What you don't know until you carry a tomato seedling through the airport and onto a plane, he says, is that carrying a tomato seedling through the airport and onto a plane will make people smile at you, almost like you're carrying a baby, a quiet baby. I did not know this until today, carrying my little tomato about 3 or 4 inches high in its 4-inch plastic starter pot, which my friend Michael gave to me, smirking about how I was going to get it home. Something about this at first felt naughty, not comparing a tomato to a baby, but carrying the tomato onto the plane. So I slid the thing into my bag while going through security, which made them pull my bag for inspection. When the security guy saw it was a tomato, he smiled and said, "I don't know how to check that. Have a good day." But I quickly realized that one of its stems, which I almost wrote as arms, was broken from the jostling, and it only had 4 of them, so I decided I'd better just carry it out in the open. And the shower of love began. Before boarding the final leg of my flight, one of the workers said, "Nice tomato." Which I don't think was a come on. And the flight attendant asked about the tomato at least 5 times, not an exaggeration, every time calling it, "My tomato. Where's my tomato? How's my tomato? You didn't lose my tomato, did you?" She even directed me to an open seat in the exit row. Why don't you guys go and sit there and stretch out? I gathered my things and set the little guy in the window seat so he could look out. When I got my water, I poured some into the little guy's soil. When we got bumpy, I put my hand on the little guy's container, careful not to snap another arm off. And when we landed and the pilot put the brakes on hard, my arm reflexively went out across the seat, holding the little guy in place the way my dad's arm would when he had to brake hard in the car without seatbelts to speak of, in one of my very favorite gestures in the Encyclopedia of Human Gestures. Ross Gay is a Black American poet, writer, and gardener. On the eve of his 42nd birthday, he found he had the desire. He wanted to be softer in a world so ready to sharpen us and make us hard. When things feel bleak, it can be all the more important to seek out and recognize joy, he thought. So he spent his 42nd year writing an essay about something delightful every day. Nicknames, fireflies, reckless air quotes. He collected about 100 of those essays in the Book of Delights. When he first began the project, he thought that maybe some days it was going to be hard to find something delightful. He lives in the real world, after all. He lives in the real world as a Black man. He thought on some days he would have to scrounge for delights. But what he found a couple of weeks in was that the discipline or practice of writing these essays occasioned a kind of delight radar. Or maybe it was more like the development of a delight muscle, something that implies that the more you study delight, the more delight there is to study. I felt my life to be more full, he says, not with sorrow or fear or pain or loss, but more full of delight. I also learned this year, he says, that my delight grows much like love and joy when I share it. I became acutely aware that delight is sort of a manifestation of interdependence. Now, in addition to talking about tomatoes this morning, I want to tell you the story of the very first flower communion and its founder. The story I'll tell is a compilation of tellings by some of my colleagues, Teresa and David Schwartz, Sarah Mobius Schur, and Laurel Whitehouse, so I thank them. Norbert Chopek was born 155 years ago in June of 1870. He grew up in troubled times in Europe. At 18, apprenticed to his uncle, a successful tailor in Vienna, Norbert discovered the Baptists and became a minister. He founded almost a dozen churches from Ukraine to Budapest. Yet slowly his faith became more and more liberal. During World War I, his safety was threatened because he spoke out against those who tried to restrict freedom of worship. He left Bohemia under government threat and accepted a call to serve a Baptist church in New York City. Until one day in 1919, that day he wrote in his diary, "I cannot be a Baptist anymore, even in compromise. The fire of new desires, new worlds is burning inside of me." Norbert and his wife Maya joined a Unitarian church in New Jersey in 1921. Their children liked the Sunday school there, and Norbert and Maya liked the theology. When World War I ended, his home country now independent, he and Maya returned home to Czechoslovakia. He founded the Prague Liberal Religious Fellowship, a Unitarian congregation. In just 20 years, his church had 3,200 members. Now, the war had left many miseries and a hard life for the people of Prague. Families had been broken up, businesses had been ruined, and many of his congregants didn't have enough money to make ends meet. Unitarianism was new to Czechoslovakia, and the worship services were not like ours today. There were no stories, no music, and the sermons were very, very long. The church building was plain, and it was cold in the bitter winters. But still, people came because they were eager for worship, spirituality, connection, and hope as they tried to rebuild their lives. Reverend Chapek knew that the people who came to hear his sermons were learning about Unitarianism and building a new faith together. But he also knew that the daily struggle continued 5 years after the war. He knew the weariness and sadness they carried, and how his people yearned for a sense of connection and possibility. The story goes that he went for a walk along the river Vltava, which winds through Prague, and as he slowly crossed one of the many bridges over the river, he began to think about how to lift the spirits of his congregation. He wanted to help them have hope. Reverend Chapek thought and thought as he walked, but he just didn't have any ideas about how to share that feeling. And then he came upon a small child from his congregation who smiled at him and held out a flower for him to take. Reverend Norbert smiled back with a happy heart and realized in that moment how to spread this warm feeling with his church members. It was spring, and there were flowers growing everywhere in Prague, in the parks along the Vltava River, even in the rubble still left from the war. Reverend Norbert spread the word to his congregation to bring a flower to the worship service the next Sunday. And everybody did show up with a flower. There were stems of white daisy-like chamomile, yellow, many-petaled leopard's bane, the bright pink rockets of cyclamen, plump yellow clusters of primroses, deep blue gentians, pinky purple pasque flowers, and of course, many roses, which are the national flower of Czechoslovakia. So on June 4th, 1923, the day after Norbert's 53rd birthday, that plain church was bursting with colorful clusters of flowers, each uniquely beautiful. And the uniquely beautiful faces of the congregants were also bursting with smiles of warmth and hope as they felt the powerful forces of growth and possibility in nature and in each other. Reverend Norbert Chapek called that feeling the hidden cry for harmony with the infinite that we each feel inside of us. And at the end of the service that day, when they were given a flower to take home, those seeds of hope and harmony and fellowship went with them and began to grow in their hearts and spirits. Now, why did I feel so called to retell that tomato on board story for Flower Communion today? Well, for one, I like to think about the funny smiles that you all got as you walked down Commercial Street or Bradford Street carrying a single flower in your hand, coming to Flower Communion this morning. I imagine that you had much the same effect on the world as Ross Gay did carrying his tomato plant on the plane. You may not know it, but you offered delight to the world with your offering. And the same will be true when you leave here. And people need delight to soften us in a world so ready to sharpen us and make us hard. And the other reason is this gesture. that's in the Flower Communion story too. The Flower Communion story is set in a dangerous time. A dangerous time when people had a choice: to see people in their community under threat and do nothing, or to see people in their community under threat and do this: protect them, stand up for them, fight for their right to survive. Now, I wish the story of Flower Communion ended as I told it, but it does not. This is the real world, and along with the delights come the hardships, the injustice, and the horrors. Hitler's troops began to occupy Prague in 1939, and by 1940, the Prague Unitarian Church was under the surveillance of the Gestapo, the Nazi police. Reverend Chopik and his Unitarian Church were not popular with the Nazis. They embraced difference. They spoke of interconnectedness. Chopik was accused, among other things, of listening to foreign broadcasts. Nazi court records state that Chopik was too dangerous to the Reich for him to be allowed to live. In 1942, Norbert Chopik was taken to the Dachau concentration camp. There, facing starvation and torture, he held a flower ceremony with his fellow prisoners, finding whatever flowers they could among the weeds of the camp. They testified to a beauty larger than themselves and a love that would outlive them. Reverend Chopik died in the gas chambers that same year. We Unitarian Universalists count Chopik as one of our heroes, not because he died, was martyred, but because he was willing to stand up for what was right and true, even if it meant that he would be killed for doing so. Chopik shows us an example of courage to speak the truth of love, even when faced with the threat of death. And his message lives on in this very service as we celebrate our Flower Communion. Reverend Norbert Chopik lived in a dangerous time, and he died because he did this. He said, "You will not harm my beloveds, and they're all my beloveds." And we also live in such a time. And the choice is ours if we will do nothing, say nothing, or if we will stick up for our beloveds. Let our gathered bouquet be a reminder to us how much more beautiful we are when we stick together. Now, in a moment, I'll invite you to bring your flower forward and place it on the vases in our altar to create our communal bouquet. Anyone who has difficulty moving about, you can either give your flower to someone else to bring forward or just come right up here any old way, cut right to the front of the line. Others, let's begin with this side of the congregation, from the front to the back, and then this center aisle can join that line by exiting the back and coming in those doors, and then this section will do the same when the lines die down a little. You can return to your seats using the center and far aisles. You get it? We're like, yeah. Heather's going to play for us as we bring our flowers forward. Let us begin.
see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright sunny days, dark sacred nights, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people walking by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. Sail away, kill off the hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, find you a lover. Go away, somewhere all bright and new. I have seen no other who compares with you. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong with your love on your arm. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, go find you a lover. Run away, let your heart be your guide. You deserve the deepest of cover. You belong in that home by and by. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me, far away from your troubles and worries. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong
in a boat out at sea. Sail away, kill off the hours. You belong somewhere you feel free. Run away, find you a lover. Go away, somewhere bright and new. You deserve the deepest of cover. You belong in that home by and by. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me, far away from your troubles and worries. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong somewhere you feel free.
Those last two roses I put in there were from Reverend Brian and Lauren down at St. Mary's, for all of you who watch from home. Thank you, Heather. More words by Norbert Chopek. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask thy blessings on these, thy messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts to be one in desire and affection and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of thy most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do thy work in the world. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. Are you ready to sing another Carolyn McDade song? This is a beautiful one. It's our closing hymn, number 121 in our gray hymnals, We'll Build a Land. That's hymn number 121 in the gray hymnals, music by Carolyn McDade, We'll Build a Land. Please rise as you are able.
Morning, oh, we'll build a promise land that
You may be seated.
It has become our practice to pose a question based on the theme of the service each week. It can be a topic of sharing at the coffee hour today or with friends during the week. If you'd like to delve deeper into this topic, we invite you to our midweek Zoom coffee hour on Tuesday at 5 p.m. If you're not on our UUMH folk email list and need that link, please let Kenneth in the office know. Our question this week is, what is something that delighted you this week? What is something that delighted you this week?
So in a moment during the postlude, the closing music, I am going to ask members of our worship committee and any children and families who are here today to come up and take a vase of flowers to hand out to the congregation. Each of you will receive a flower from our communal bouquet, a different flower than the one you came with. You have gifts to offer this gathered company, and you have gifts to receive. I'll end with these closing words by one of our favorite poets, Lynn Unger. What a gathering! The purple tongues of iris licking out at spikes of lupin, the orange crepe skirts of poppies lifting over buttercup and daisy. Who can be grim in the face of such abundance? There is nothing to compare, no need for beauty to compete. The voluptuous rhododendron and the plain grass are equally filled with themselves, equally declare the miracles of color and form. This is what community looks like. This vibrant jostle, stem by stem, declaring the marvelous joining. This is the face of communion, the incarnation once more, gracefully resurrected from winter. Hold these things together in your sight: purple, crimson, magenta, blue. You will be feasting on this long after the flowers are gone. Go in peace.